Yo, what is going on, everybody? What's going on? What's going on? Right? Let's see what else we got. But that's the. See what else they got for us. Better than the fanboys accept. I like it so far. What up, skills agent? I just got home from work. Started at 10 p.m. last night. Definitely going to have to take a nap before 8 p.m. Oh yeah, you're gonna have to grind. We'll be on at 8 tonight. We'll be streaming it straight. We'll be like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We'll probably do like a 5-hour, maybe 8-hour stream. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how long. The reviews drop in like 3 minutes, Jeremy. With all the hype, the reviews have to be high. You think, agent? You think they're all high? I don't know. I don't know what to expect anymore. I have a few expectations. I love Star Wars, Starfield, GTA, Cross. I got a case of Monster in the fridge ready to go. How long do you think the game is? I know I've been reading reviews saying like it's about 40 to 80 hours. How long do you think it is? I hope this game is good. I just spent my electric money on it. Oh man. That's funny, man. Yeah, we'll be streaming tonight at 8 p.m. So if you guys want to catch that stream, we'll definitely be live watching it. Hey, hit a drop real quick. Drop a like on the stream, guys, if you guys are just joining in. Appreciate you guys hanging out. We got what, 2 minutes? 2 minutes, and then we'll see what the reviewers are saying.
I picked this
about
software
the
engineering
game
program because they pay very well. It's a fast-paced industry.
What else? What's this? What do you got? We got 2 minutes left. I wonder who's gonna drop the review first. Who do you guys think? We'll search Starfield. There's always one who drops it like 1 minute ahead. I bet you IGN drops theirs early. They always do that. I think they dropped theirs already. It's no secret that No, they haven't. What about GameSpot? Nah, not yet. They haven't dropped them yet. Yeah, well, let's wait. See who's gonna drop it. So yeah, all reviews drop in about 1 minute. So in 1 minute, we'll check a few of these, see what we have. Easily a high 80, mid 90 rating game. They need the high type for how many have gone and pre-ordered. Most of all did it with Division 1 and 2, Battlefield. We all know how many major letdowns. Hopefully we get good reviews. All right, so they should be live now. Let's go check IGN. Let's see. They should all be pumping out now. 100%.
It's no secret that Ubisoft.
All the reviewers should be dropping theirs, all their videos once it hits the algorithm. Let's go. What we got? Let's go filter. Let's go recent. Where is it? Upload date. No. It's probably, they all went live right now, right? Yeah. So we just got to wait for YouTube to update. Last hour. Let's do last hour. Here. So IGN did drop theirs. Let's go. Let's see what IGN has. Let's watch this together. Damn, they got a 49-minute review? Nah, no way. Is that really? Really? 49 minutes? Holy. Gaming Bolt put there, is there like 15 minutes? See who else. All right, let's watch this real quick. Let's go. Let's check it out. First 39 minutes. All right, let's see what they got. What do you guys think? People are so freaking worried about the reviews, but the real answer is, how do you like it? The game reviews are opinion-based. Agree. 45 minutes of gameplay, that's it?
Shame we won't find any down here.
Oh, it is.
But
Yeah, okay. So let's go find one. Let's refresh. But usually, like, IGN drops one. Gaming Bolt dropped one. What's this guy? The Final Verdict. What does this guy say? What did he say? It's like 15 minutes. Is he gonna reviews me nothing if you like the game? Yeah, we're gonna be streaming tonight, T. Xbox Series XS and Windows. Come on, Gaming Bolt, what you got for us?
On very rare occasions has there been so much pressure on a game to not only deliver, but deliver on a scale that only a handful of games have ever managed to achieve. Starfield is carrying the weight of all that pressure and more. Not only is it a new single-player RPG by the makers of Fallout and The Elder Scrolls, not only is it Bethesda Game Studios' first new IP in over 2.5 decades, it's also the developer's first game as a first-party Microsoft studio. And to top it all off, it's coming at a time when Xbox is in desperate need for a major win. But if ever there was a developer that could prove equal to a task so Herculean, it would be Bethesda Game Studios. Time and time again, BGS has revolutionized the open-world RPG genre. And with Starfield, it's delivered yet another landmark experience that has set a new standard. One that games are invariably going to be judged against for years to come. This is an experience of mind-boggling scale and boundless ambition, and yet, in spite of how expansive and sprawling it is, it achieves its vision with an immaculate focus and thoroughness, bringing its interstellar setting to life in a way that is rare to see in this medium, or in any other. Starfield's setting of the settled systems is one of its biggest strengths. Set centuries in a future where humanity has left Earth behind and spread far across a multitude of star systems throughout the galaxy, it builds its setting on the foundations of rich, captivating, complex lore, which is really not surprising for a BGS game. The settled systems are teeming with history, backstory, and conflict, and learning more about how humanity has advanced throughout the years and the trials and tribulations it's faced over the course of 300 years remains an utterly engaging experience. A lot of that is down to how thoroughly Starfield builds its world, and how single-minded it feels in its drive to achieve its vision of the future. Every step of the way.
My biggest concern is, how much can you do on the worlds themselves? Yeah, it's cool to explore them, but is there going to be like, are the worlds going to be populated enough? Or like, at least the worlds that are populated, like, will there be enough for you to do besides just like the main quest and stuff like that?
It drives
I don't know about you guys. I kind of wonder that.
The political landscape of the settled systems and its many different factions, the history of conflicts between them and how they've shaped things. And of course, just how deeply the game and its makers love space. Starfield commits itself to its space setting with an unprecedented level of attention to even the minutest of details, and constantly leverages that space setting to deliver an experience that feels intrinsically tied to it, rather than something that just happens to be set in space, as so many sci-fi stories across all media so often are. And of course, the aforementioned factions are, in true BGS fashion, the heart and soul of Starfield. In fact, the faction questlines on offer here might even be among the best ever in a Bethesda RPG.
Lack of content is never an issue,
all boast
concern.
Legitimately captivating stories, they also exhibit incredible thematic narrative and gameplay variety. You'll go from being a space pirate with the Crimson Fleet to a Wild West sheriff with the Freestar Rangers, from trying to prevent a galaxy-wide xeno-warfare threat with the United Colonies Vanguard to becoming a corporate espionage and sabotage expert with Ryujin Industries.
That's kind of cool.
And each questline will be teeming with incredible stories to discover, meticulously crafted places to travel to, and captivating choices to make. That level of variation is also found across the many locations you visit throughout the settled systems, and this is also where Starfield really flexes its muscles with its art design. From the untamed frontier of Aquila City to the grimy cyberpunk streets of Neon, from the gleaming futuristic towers of New Atlantis to the function over form style of the underground mining city of Sidonia, there's an impressive level of variety to be found throughout the game. Add to that how wildly different and effectively established the histories and cultures of all these places are, and the settled systems feels like a truly galaxy-spanning space of awe-inspiring scale. All of that is of course tied together by Starfield's excellently realized NASA punk aesthetic, which underpins the entire experience. Of course, as crucial as the factions and their questlines are to the game, they don't exactly serve as its main narrative thrust. Though thankfully, Starfield's main story is also well worth diving into, to say the least. This is where the game truly embraces its spirit of exploration, tapping into something that's been making humanity look up at the stars for thousands of years, wondering what else is out there. Starting out as a swashbuckling story of space adventure, Starfield's central narrative twists, turns, and expands in some really interesting ways as it progresses, and goes to some truly unexpected places, all of which is obviously best left unspoiled. Though the main questline takes a while to really get going,
you can
once
reload.
It does, it begins
I preloaded it already, T.
Major mysteries at a great pace, and from
Mine's
that
good.
point forward, it doesn't let up. Something that adds to Starfield's narrative strengths is its cast of companions, who have received more love and attention than companions in any other past Bethesda
I feel like he's just
RPG.
talking about the game where it's telling us.
Members of Constellation, a group of space explorers, fun in RPGs. It's a good thing then that progression mechanics in Starfield are as good and flexible as they are. On top of tweaking your build with different gear and weapons, you also invest in skill points across 5 skill trees, ranging from social skills and combat skills to piloting skills and physical attributes. After being unlocked, each skill can also be upgraded further 4 more times, with each upgrade becoming available after you've hit a certain threshold with actions or activities related to that specific skill. So for instance, if you want to spend a skill point to upgrade your pistol damage skill, you'll first have to kill a certain amount of enemies with the pistol. It's a progression system that'll be familiar to anyone who's played a Bethesda RPG before, and deserves a lot of credit, not only for the way
actually looks cool right here.
Structured upgrades with moment-to-moment gameplay, but also in how much build variety it offers. Across its 5 skill trees, Starfield lets you focus on a vast variety of things, giving you the freedom to make a character focused on all-out gunplay, stealth and thievery, persuasion and bribery, shipbuilding and customization, physical attributes, or just whatever else might suit how you want to play the game. Another important part of Starfield's gameplay loop is, of course, spaceflight and combat, and it sticks the landing here as well. Moment-to-moment flying a ship and engaging in dogfights feels fun, thanks to the responsiveness and uncomplicated controls. The entire process also doesn't feel too straightforward, courtesy of the power allocation system. Your ship's reactor produces a finite amount of power, and you have to decide how to distribute it across your ship's many systems, including shields, lasers, missiles, engines,
That's
and more.
cool. This
If you're in a dogfight, for instance, you'll want power routed
space
primarily
combat?
to your weapons and shields.
And then they
While
say
if
when you
want your ship to
destroy
fly
the
faster,
ships,
you'll need to
you can
pump
actually
more
go
power into your
hijack
engines.
them and take them back with you.
It's not too complicated as systems go, but it does a good job of keeping you involved, just enough so that spaceflight and combat never feel like a chore, or a part of the game where you're just going through the motions. What really makes anything and everything to do with your ship one of Starfield's brightest highlights, however, is its suite of shipbuilding mechanics. Though I haven't spent a ton of time building and managing outposts, I've spent hours building and customizing my own ships, and I can't tell you how much Starfield has impressed me with how flexible and expansive it is on that front. Though the shipbuilding controls can be a bit finicky at first on the controller, it doesn't really take long to get used to them, at which point it's hard not to be taken aback by how much freedom the toolset boasts. Any shapes or sizes your mind could conjure up, keep it out of the gutter, Starfield will probably let you craft exactly the ship you want, depending on how much time that you're willing to invest. There's a plethora of options available here for different bays, hubs, engines, grav drives, cosmetic elements, shields, weapons, and so much more.
I feel like a lot of
And
people are
not
going to
only
spend a
can
lot of
all
time
that
doing
affect
this,
your
just
ship's
like
performance in
creating
a
their
variety
ship.
of ways
Like if
and
that's what you enjoy
drastically
doing.
change its appearance, you can also walk around inside its altered interiors and see how it's changed, and how your growing crew is inhabiting the flying home that you've just created for them. It's incredibly deep and incredibly rewarding, and becomes even more so when you consider the fact that you can dive even deeper into improving and customizing your vessel through a large amount of skill tree upgrades that are tied specifically to ship-related things. The one area of Starfield that people will likely be most apprehensive about is its technical aspects, which is understandable given BGS's track record. Though happily enough, this is the most polished and stable a Bethesda RPG has ever been at launch. It does still have a few rough edges, of course, which is to be expected from a game that's operating on this scale. As an example, Starfield, like previous BGS RPGs, is also not a seamless open world, which means there are a lot of loading screens between instances. But
A lot of
thankfully,
loading
load times
screens.
are almost always pretty short at 4 to 5 seconds on average, so I never found them to be anything more than a slight annoyance. Beyond that, NPCs' faces can often look like they're made out of clay covered in oil, animations can be a bit robotic, and there can be some texture pop-ins and frame rate drops when you're landing on a planet. By and large, however, technical issues in Starfield feel like footnotes at most. Playing on an Xbox Series X, the vast majority of the issues I've encountered were the kind that didn't impact my experience beyond me simply noticing them. The one major bug I did unfortunately run into locked me out of a major side quest line. And yes, that was a bummer, but the game helped me get over it with remarkable ease, thanks to the litany of other things I could do and be just as enthralled by. In more ways than one, Starfield is a game that you can lose yourself in for endless hours. It boasts a vast, complex, and nuanced web of a multitude of gameplay systems and mechanics, offering incredible depth and emphasizing player freedom every step of the way. It's teeming with engaging, captivating stories, whether you're moving forward with the main quest, wrangling with one of the many factions, picking up smaller side quests, or doing some extracurricular reading to dive into the tons of rich lore on offer. And of course, it's a massive sprawling experience in the purest sense, absolutely brimming with things to do, people to meet, and places to see. Even after having spent dozens of hours exploring the expanses of the settled systems, I feel like I've only just scratched the surface. And while ordinarily an experience that massive might have started wearing thin for me by now, with Starfield, I'm still ravenously hungry to consume every little bit of it. It's an incredible experience.
So it seems like he
that not
likes
only
it.
boasts
Alright,
immense scale,
cool.
but also backs it up
He
with
likes the
actual
game. He gave it a pretty good, solid review. All right, come on. Let's find another one. I want to see more gameplay. Nobody has like solid gameplay. Like, boom. There's so many reviews. Did IGN put theirs? I like IGNs. They usually drop like a 10-minute review. But here it goes. They put out a few. See, I knew they did. Let's go performance review. Oh, right here, Starfield review. They did it. I knew we would find it.
She looked bigger in the photos.
Starfield review. Let's see what
I
IGN
just got a
says.
legendary.
Man.
All right.
So far, what do you guys
strap
think before
yourselves
we
in.
get into it? What are your thoughts? What do you guys think so far? How are people playing? I thought it was it goes live at 8 p.m. Eastern. I believe like certain creators, like big might have gotten access to, bro. The NPC 75 review copies. NDA dropped 13 minutes ago. IGN 7. IGN gave it. This sounds like a sugar-coated review. Yeah, it did, right? All right, let's go to IGN. I felt like he didn't want to really say what he had. Let's
All right, everybody, strap yourselves in. This
see
is
what
gonna
these
be a
bad
bumpy
boys have
ride.
to say.
I
Forbes
feel
aren't
like I'm the
gamers.
kind of person Starfield was made
Can't do
for.
30
I
FPS.
loved Bethesda's last single-player RPG.
The game
Fallout
can't
4.
do 30
Maybe a bit
FPS?
Too much. There's
I don't
nothing
know,
like
not
more
impressed
than
at the
a sci-fi
moment.
universe with spaceships, lasers, and political intrigue flying every which way.
You have my agreement.
And yet, a dozen hours in, I was feeling lost in space. Things never went too far off course while I was flying my rinky-dink little ship around, chasing down mysterious artifacts and war criminals with a damn fine crew of companions at my side. But man, did Starfield make me work hard to get through that opening stretch.
You know, Most Dusties don't even make it this far.
Even when it mostly righted the ship and I was loving the story, side quests, and launching boarding parties on enemy ships, there were still too many problems that constantly popped up, forcing me to curb my excitement. It's a bit like Starfield's own elaborate shipbuilder tool. Even though you can slap together a bunch of high-end parts and it will technically fly, sometimes it's just not the best fit. I'd expect no less, but Bethesda has built out a sprawling universe with detailed lore. I wouldn't call it especially distinctive. It's reminiscent of universes like The Expanse and Firefly, and full of references to every sci-fi movie from Aliens to Blade Runner, and of course Interstellar. In fact, there's a significant similarity to what Obsidian created for 2019's The Outer Worlds. But the story of how humans abandoned Earth and colonized the stars is so densely packed in, with more around every corner, that I found it easy to get invested in.
We're all here because we're committed to exploring space.
IGN give it a 7.
Between the United Colonies and the Freestar Collective.
United Colonies strive to provide all their citizens with opportunity, security, and peace.
Regardless of which background option and starting skills you pick for your character, everyone starts out in the same mining camp and touches the same space magic that sets off a trippy 2001 A Space Odyssey style vision. But after that, Starfield is an immense game that will send you off in all kinds of different directions once it hands you the keys to your first spaceship. It's to the point where talking to others who have played alongside me has left us all bewildered.
Wait, what do you mean you don't know who the Vanguard are?
Wow, you didn't unlock that until level 20?
You met who in a bar? Your new best friend on Neon.
You can easily fall down all sorts of wormholes into extended chains of missions that take you on adventures that rival Skyrim's in scope. Even after about 70 hours, there are major quest lines I haven't even touched, and others I've left unfinished. I'm eager to go back and pick those up now that I've completed the main story.
You know there's more to come.
In typical Bethesda fashion, that main quest itself isn't terribly flexible in how you can resolve the situations it thrusts you into. Your options here are, for the most part, about picking whether you want to be a Boy Scout for whom a good deed is its own reward, a wisecracking mercenary who asks to be rewarded after doing a good deed, or an all-business mercenary who demands to be paid up front to do said good deed.
I'll say right up front that if you're looking to get rich, this ain't the line of work for you.
There are a few life and death choices, and there's a decision at the end about which philosophy to embrace before heading into the final battle. But most of it is going to play out the same way because, no matter what, your goal is to solve the mystery of those artifacts alongside your secret society of explorers known as Constellation. I won't say much about where the plot goes because it's way too easy to spoil, but I did enjoy the way it probes its biggest concept in distinctive ways, and there's plenty of well-written discussion about what it all means.
Get out of here, Dusty. You're on to bigger things.
It's in the side quests that you really get to act out your character's morals and choose to resolve conflicts peacefully or just by killing and robbing innocent people.
Oh, we're killing and robbing everybody.
A storyline that felt very boyish from Brazil inspired, as well as numerous related quests about hunting down war criminals that pose ethical quandaries to reconcile.
If it dealt death, he could make a deal more.
You can even join up with the Crimson Fleet pirates and dive into a life of smuggling and general space crime. It seems like it would take hundreds of hours to explore them all, and there sure are a lot of options. I wouldn't say I've encountered anything just yet that's as spectacular as destroying Megaton in Fallout 3, but Starfield has its moments. There's no shortage of interesting companion characters to hang out with throughout all this. There's definitely a focus on Sarah, the virtuous leader of Constellation.
Don't think we can't find another way to get what we want.
And Sam, an angsty former lawman with a young daughter who he's always worried will see him as less than perfect. However, I was richly rewarded by taking the eccentric scientist Barrett along with me on some missions.
You're part of this now.
And I suspect the others hold a few surprises up their sleeves as well. But you can only take one with you at a time, so I have more exploration to do here as well.
We waste time. We should complete our mission and then we can talk.
It helps that Bethesda has certainly upped its facial animation game for Starfield. Sure, it's nowhere near as lifelike as motion capture performances we've seen in The Last of Us and God of War, but generally, it's expressive enough that it can do justice to the excellent voice performances.
Looking a little more murdery than usual.
I don't have an issue with the way the characters look.
They had it coming.
I think they look solid. Houston, we have a problem. Oh, the bad. Here we go.
Starfield's problems, though, are glaring. I have to say that the early hours are pretty rough going. And there was a while there when I was wondering if the stars would ever align. So this review is going to go through that rough patch too. But bear with me.
Tough
just like
words.
Starfield itself, it does get better by the end.
That's why I keep him around. Good pep talks.
Here's the biggest fundamental problem. See this vast map of stars? It feels extremely small when each of its hundreds of explorable planets is separated by little more than a loading screen. It didn't take long for me to realize that takeoff and landing animations are barely interactive cutscenes. They can often be bypassed by just going to the map screen and jumping to another planet without even setting foot on a ship. It's impossible not to compare Starfield's disjointed space travel to the seamlessness of No Man's Sky, and it's a bit of a letdown every single time. The next nuisance that irritated me no matter where I roamed is the fact that there are no actual maps, mini or otherwise. This screen is just not helpful at all. I spent way too much time searching for basic things like vendors to sell my loot to while I tried to memorize the layout of multiple settlements. And I expect most people will just look up community-made maps like the ones that IGN's guide team is working on anyway. Also, like Bethesda's previous RPGs, Starfield's playtime is roughly 30% inventory management, and yet it's shockingly bad at that task. You'll constantly need to transfer loot between your inventory and your companions,
no
or
map to
and from your
handhold
ship's
you.
cargo hold. But maddeningly, you can't view both at the same time like you can in Fallout 4 and Skyrim. Modders, if you're listening, please help. Those problems never got better during my playthrough. I just learned to live with them. The hump that I did work my way over, though, is that Starfield doesn't tell you enough about how its huge collection of systems work, and it trickles out the cool stuff too slowly. Out of the gate, you can't mod your equipment, you can't use your essential boost pack, and you can barely use stealth or board enemy ships at all. You can build outposts that are
Wait,
a
you
lot
can't
like
board
Fallout 4
enemy ships? Hold on, go back. What did he say?
You probably shouldn't bother with them early on. It trickles out the cool stuff too slowly. Out of the gate. The hump that I did work my way over, though, is that Starfield doesn't tell you enough about how its huge collection of systems work, and it trickles out the cool stuff too slowly. Out of the gate, you can't mod your equipment, you can't use your essential boost pack, and you can barely use stealth or board enemy ships at all.
Oh, at the very beginning,
You can build outposts that are
you gotta
a lot
like
like
unlock
Fallout
the
4
skill, I'm
settlers,
assuming.
but it doesn't tell you that you probably shouldn't bother with them early on because you don't need huge quantities of a single resource until way later. Speaking of, storage space on the first tier of ships is obnoxiously small for the amount of loot and resources you gather. I resorted to silly workarounds like throwing stuff on the floor of my ship like a space hoarder.
What can I help you with?
Eventually, though, all that stuff gets resolved through upgrades and learning the ropes. It's
Yeah, it
also
makes
worth
sense.
noting that the worlds you explore are generally visually different with varying gravity, but they're barren and lifeless aside from the crafted areas you visit in quests. I mean, yeah, you'd expect that from planets that are mostly untouched by intelligent beings, but that doesn't make them a lot more fun to run around. Outside of a handful of randomly generated outposts full of enemies to raid, all there is to do is scan trees and rocks or zap them with a mining laser.
We just love rocks.
Or sometimes scan and maybe shoot alien wildlife. It's a far cry from Bethesda's previous games, where you could barely swing a dead mud crab without hitting something cool. And it took a while for me to learn that I could largely just ignore this stuff. There's one part of the main quest that's pretty repetitive too. You're sent to investigate a series of ancient structures, and it's annoying that what you do inside of each one is completely identical. The rewards are different and enticing enough for me to want to chase them all down at least. But after the first few, I couldn't help but wish that Bethesda's designers had taken some inspiration from Breath of the Wild when it came to creating different puzzles for each one. So it wasn't until about a dozen hours in that I unlocked enough upgrades that the gameplay started to gel for me alongside the story. Starfield absolutely is one of those games that takes way too long to get to the good part. But the fact that it eventually did get its claws into me forced me to jettison all of the more like Starfield jokes I'd been workshopping out the airlock and focus more on what this sci-fi epic gets right, or at least does well enough. Filed under does well enough is combat, which is the solution to most problems unless you're extremely dedicated to the idea of talking or sneaking your way past most encounters with hostile pirates.
I guess that's what I care about a lot, the
wildlife,
combat.
and anything that looks at you funny.
Sounds like
Not bad.
he had a fun time with
kept
it.
me happily plinking away with my tricked out laser rifles and shotguns, but it's not especially great either. Without anything new and exciting to fill the void left by Fallout's time-stopping bat system, it's pretty standard stuff. To their credit, enemies do react in fun ways, and sometimes they'll flee if you killed off their friends. Plus, the modifiers on epic and legendary weapons and gear have some fun stuff going on that's not afraid to be game-changing. I found a rifle that does more damage as my health decreases, and makes enemies more likely to drop med packs. I found a spacesuit that has a 10% chance to set nearby attackers on fire, and made me invisible when I crouched and held still. That's kinda cool, and there's a lot more where that came from. The other side of combat is ship-to-ship battles, which are also fairly simple as space dogfighting games go. It's never not entertaining to blast away at pirates and watch the pretty explosions. There's some basic power management, but I rarely felt the need to fiddle with it in combat because most of the ships I bought or found had enough power to go around. The closest thing to VATS you get in Starfield is when you spend a skill point on target locking, which is an absolute must-have. Disabling weapons is a great way to even the odds when you're being ganged up on. But even better is when you take out their engines and board them. Some of the best moments in my Starfield playthrough have happened during these raids, as I went room by room mopping up enemies until I gunned down the captain and sat in their chair to
That actually looks pretty fun, like raiding the ships. I think I'll be doing a lot of that.
I'm definitely going full pirate next run through, so I can do this all the time. Another highlight of Starfield is the sheer variety of spaceships flying through the settled systems. And the fact that they're so modular and customizable made me want to dump more skill points into starship design, so that I can mess with it more and learn the somewhat complicated rules of how to snap the pieces together to form a space-worthy vessel. Oh yeah, and the lockpicking minigame deserves a shout out as one of the best I've seen in an RPG. Are there bugs? Of course there are. I've seen a fair amount of model and texture pop in, occasional crashes, performance slowdowns, mostly during autosaves, wonky waypoints, clipping issues, wrong camera angles during conversations, the works. I've played mostly on PC myself, but IGN's Xbox Series X players report occasional framerate dips, but nothing outrageous. I have to say, Starfield has been fairly stable for a big, open RPG like this. I never ran into a quest I couldn't finish on the first try, for instance, so its bugs haven't been bad. The results may vary, though. With a game this complex, they always do.
What do you guys think? Honestly, I thought it was a solid review for them. All right, what's the verdict? You guys said it was a 7, right?
It's never a great sign when somebody recommends a game on the grounds that it gets good after more than a dozen hours, but that's very much the kind of game Starfield is, and I do recommend it.
And to think, I almost went for coffee instead.
There are a lot of forces working against it, and the combination of its disjointed space travel, non-existent maps, aggravating inventory management, and slow rollout of essential abilities very nearly did it in. It was the joys of piloting a custom spaceship into and out of all sorts of morally ambiguous situations in a rich sci-fi universe that eventually pulled it out of a nosedive.
I might even let you fly me around sometime.
I'm glad that I powered through the early hours, because its interstellar mystery story pays off, and, once the ball got rolling, combat on foot and in space gradually became good enough that its momentum carried me into New Game Plus after I'd finished the main story after around 60 hours. Like Skyrim and Fallout 4 before it, there's still an immense amount of quality role-playing quests and interesting NPCs out there waiting to be stumbled across, and the pull to seek it out is strong. For more on RPGs, check out our reviews of Baldur's Gate 3 and Sea of Stars.
So they think, so far, I thought it was a solid review. He does mention, the one thing I did notice, he did mention that the game takes a little bit to get into it, right? So I've seen that with a lot of new games though recently, like a couple hours to get into the game, it takes a while. So it seems like the same thing with Starfield. It's gonna start off slow, but then as you get going, then it gets good. And I'm assuming that's because you get to unlock all your skills, or you start to unlock skills and do other stuff. So it's pretty good. You just bought a Half Moon. Hey, GG's, man. Time to create a Star Wars ship. Place the dog. This is a bit of a cartoon-like. I prefer Elite Dangerous. This one is 50 times better than the IGN one. This was the IGN one. This was the IGN one. Starfield. Let's see what else. Let's do performance review. What they got here? Let's check out how does the performance review do.
Get ready.
Take your mind out of the gutter. Oh yeah, when he's doing the shipbuilding. Come on, guys. Let's wait for that to end so we can skip it.
And if you're looking for more,
Something special.
you can add Hulu to Disney Plus for just $2 more a month.
Where are we at?
Is this really happening? What is this? The Hulu Disney Plus bundle with plans starting at just
Can we skip this already? We need to get YouTube Premium. Oh look, this was a 4K?
Space. The final frontier, some say, has long held a fascination.
Alright, let's see. This is supposed to be
Space. The final frontier, some say,
console
has
performance
long held
testing
a fascination for mankind.
and
Video
PC.
games, and now Bethesda, whom have used this setting to deliver their first new game.
Skills
on
needs that
Series
YouTube
X
Premium.
and PC, and also their very first new IP since
I do,
Elder
I do.
Scrolls. Is this a brand new horizon for the studio? As a galactic RPG rammed with a mix of handcrafted and procedurally generated planets across the Milky Way and beyond, the ability for us to cover it all is not possible. The game has a core story-driven narrative that will lead all players through the same areas by and large, but the 1,000+ something planets will be surplus.
So this is
to
on
that.
Xbox Series
As
X.
the scale is so big,
You
this
can see the
performance
little
review
logo
will
at the top.
break it down into 3 key categories: where it succeeds, where it falls down, and what could be better. both consoles use FSR2 alongside potentially having DRS engaged. They additionally use VRS, and all these techniques are focused on the best image quality and tightest hold on that 30 FPS rate they both run at, covered in the performance.
Hey, drop a like on the
section.
stream, guys, if you guys are just joining. Appreciate you guys hanging out.
Output in conjunction with FSR2's reconstruction, and Series S targets 1440p, again via reconstruction. Based on a selection of counts, the game appears to remain at a fixed percentage of this. Counts on Series X under motion were 2560 by 1440, which suggests approximately 66% scale on each axis of 4K based on the PC's menu. Both could dynamically shift between quality, balance, and performance levels.
Here you go. Yo, T, you're funny.
I found no sections where they did from my counts, noted more in the PC segment.
Hey, appreciate you, T.
Now, Series S comes in much lower as expected, with again fixed counts of approximately 900p, suggesting a 62% scale of 1440, meaning it runs approximately 40% of the Series X resolution, in addition to a few other reductions. Now, ultimately, the Series X image quality is very sharp, stable, and clean, helped by the high resolution textures and clean lines of much of the world. Sharpening is maybe a little too high, as it can introduce fizzle on subpixel areas such as specular highlights, thin signs at oblique angles, and even on that GTAO and shadows due to the sparse shading used. But the presentation is very good nonetheless, and would convince most that this is a native 4K output. The Series S is not so convincing, but still very good, due to the lower base counts, presenting a softer, less stable and noisier image than the Series X.
Oh, you can
Details
tell
are
the difference.
visible, and the image shimmer on AO specular textures is more obvious here. The reconstruction to 1440p via FSR2 is decent in slow-moving sections, and the space sections do tend to look the sharpest. Any planets with volumetrics, denser fauna and alpha, then the lower pixel counts that VRS and general reconstruction and sharpening passes can cause some breakup and interference. It's never bad, but visibly worse than the Series X, but not to a huge degree.
Ali, what's going on, man? Yep.
Comes from the
It
lower
does, right?
texture quality the Series S also has over the Series X, with fine details being reduced.
We'll be playing it
and
tonight,
mixed,
8 p.m.
sometimes loading later or using lower quality ones when many are on screen. And in addition, many effects are reduced on Series S over the X. Level of detail is reduced, mostly in grass and trees and buildings. Volumetrics, SSAO quality, shadow cascade and filtering, but nothing too drastic. Just nips and tucks to reflect the power difference between the two consoles. In side-by-sides, the Series X certainly looks better than the S, but this will vary on planet to planet and scene to scene. You are not losing much in the visual stakes, and you lose none of the game's exploration, combat, AI, and more. One minor negative is the use of VRS can cause heavy blocking of the image, more so on Series S but also on X and even PC, but at least you have the option to disable it there. Now, due to this, I did also get some 720p and 400p counts on Series X and Series S respectively, due to that 2x2 pixel structure it uses. And the shift when this kicks in, as you see here with the takeoff, can be obvious. Thankfully, it is not frequent enough to impact the overall great image quality across the board, and certainly across the game. The boost in the visuals continue with significantly improved PBR materials. Metallic is still the key
Let's see
material
where I
here.
kind of want to get to like the
good use
PC
of
part.
roughness, specular and drop-off helps. Now, all prior Bethesda titles have been known and loved as much for the worlds they create, but the freedom and physics and dynamic nature they also offer. And Starfield does the same here, with a data-driven engine driving AI, object destruction, combat, dialogue, with heavy use of state models for many of these. Physics are key, and work as well here as before, mostly anyway, but really are no better and have not seen the same improvements, to the same degree at least, as the visuals, and in some ways can actually be worse. You still get crazy physics of bodies bouncing, high friction on contact, deflated balloon-like deaths, and even sticking to railings or just bouncing off into orbit. AI is still pretty terrible, with enemies just strolling around without a care in the world as you shoot them in the head.
Yo, why are they looking at the wall?
Staring at walls. It can get lonely in space, I suppose. Companion AI can be the most egregious though, with it often freezing during combat, being stuck in poses, and most annoyingly, walking in front of you mid-battle getting shot, and sometimes never entering combat. Now I know Sarah is a tough cookie, but in the middle of a firefight, this is not the time to shoot the breeze and ask about my day.
Find any sign of Vanguard Moara. Keep your eyes open.
A few minutes later.
Oh yes, this is a Bethesda game.
Themselves to be enlightened, but their lives were so busy they rarely
You picked the wrong fight.
As humorous and ironic as these moments can be, they can distract from the dramatic story and realism.
They got a big old fight going on, and she's talking to you.
In many aspects, and it leaves combat good, but not significantly better than any previous game, with many of the enemies presenting little challenge, even less awareness, and a grip on life that is marginally stronger than your average chicken.
Wait, did he say that the enemies provide barely any challenge? Is there like a difficulty mode for this game? Do you guys know? Does anybody know that?
But not significantly better than any previous game, with many of the
but their lives.
And ironic as these moments can be, they can distract from the dramatic story and realism it aims for. AI specifically remains limited in many aspects, and it leaves combat good, but not significantly better than any previous game, with many of the enemies presenting little challenge, even less awareness, and a grip on life that is marginally stronger
little
than your
challenge.
Chicken. The amount of weapons, customizations, and good use of motion blur on hands, the guns themselves with depth of field, helps the visceral fun the firefights offer, working significantly better in first person. Not a surprise when it
Rob, I'm going to play on PC.
Visual embellishments.
PC.
As fun as they can be, it does not differentiate itself
I have it ordered on Steam
from prior games. The space battles, although a welcome change, and some missions use the setting well, they never feel complete enough, and dogfighting, at least in my playtime so far, is good, but bigger battles, more dramatic set pieces would have helped immensely here. Fundamentally, more could be done here to elevate all three aspects of the title, and none of this is due to the hardware limits covered next.
Their shields are back! When did that happen?
Now, being a DX12 title, then shader stutter is a potential issue. Fear not though, as the game pre-builds these on first boot, and on my AMD RX 6800 with a 5600X CPU, it took approximately 45 seconds. Once done, I never saw a single hiccup or stutter that I could attribute to shader compilation at least, so a strong start for Bethesda here. It continues with options with 4K plus possible, 120 FPS, possibly more, and a wealth of tweaks to visuals and world density can be made. They're not the most exhaustive, but decent nonetheless. No detail on what each option does aside some text, so a visual guide or transparent menu here would help. They scale performance on my AMD rig here at 4K FSR2 reconstruction using a 65% scaling factor, roughly 1440p. Now of note is the menu has a DRS option, but this also appears ornamental currently, or it's set far too soft to make an impact. Multiple counts when my machine was at 4K 100% scale at 30 FPS levels, all counts were 4K. Backing this up with performance testing on versus off at Ultra saw 0% uplift and points to the fact that it likely doesn't work. Maybe a later update will enable on PC and console, which is why I found no shifts in resolution from this review code build at least. With the machine high at 65% scale, we will see 60 FPS mostly on interior sections and firefights, but out on planet surfaces you are GPU bound and possibly bandwidth, with mid-40s at best here. CPU is not the factor at this section, but in the dense NPC areas this shifts, and now AI pathfinding, animation, draws and more push the bottleneck onto the CPU as we surmised in our preview. And now the CPU is barely above 30 FPS, reinforcing the console cap, which would require a far more powerful CPU than my decent 5600X here, and even GPU, as at 1080p the 6800 can still dip into the low 50s due to GPU workloads. It does utilise threads across the CPU very well, but it still has a tendency to rely on that one main worker thread, which is likely to be the main bottleneck most of the time when you are CPU bound. As such, a variable level of performance is required, or 1080p with a mix of medium settings on this machine may get you a 60-ish level, with weaker hardware needing to really target 30 FPS.
Yo, I'm putting my settings at max. Ultra everything. He shot
Moving to the top end in a Monster RTX 4090 paired with 64GB.
That's kind of like what I'm running something similar.
900K, then 1440p Ultra at 60 FPS is possible. Some minor dips below aside, it feels smooth in firefights and exploration.
Ultra all day.
Even here, you may find some dense cities could cause CPU dips on occasion below that 60
I'm running a 4090
time. But as the top of that PC tree, it would be nice to see DRS working, DLSS 2 or 3 to come in a later patch to complement the good use of FSR2 here, which does work as well on Nvidia and Intel cards as AMD at least. The game is too demanding on hardware based on the results on screen, with the procedural elements, high texture and lighting quality along with heavy CPU demands makes this a title that will bring many gaming rigs to their knees for sure.
Oh, we'll see. We'll find out tonight. I do like that scroll wheel where you could like swap through your weapons.
Starfield is the biggest Xbox and Bethesda game for the past 5 years at least. And on a technical front, it does a great many things right. World details, PBR materials, lighting, nailing that 70s sci-fi visual fidelity with clear Alien 2001 and more design cues and stylistic flair. From the wealth of the shipbuilding elements, character model improvements, to space battles, pirate bounty
the
hunters,
Starfield AI looks like the Cyberpunk AI
of this world. My single biggest issue with it all though is the separate pieces never connect as a whole. The disjointed nature of planet travel, canned animations and excessive loading and management of memory greatly distracts from a rich story and possibilities underneath. From AI that cannot stay alive or out of the line of fire, a lack of great set pieces or wow moments, at least in the first 15 hours or so of the main story, the quality, performance and scale is very impressive, with the PC and console versions being demanding, but the best yet for a launch game. I am sure Xbox and AMD helped the team out on
best yet for a launch game.
But ultimately, it is another good, dynamic and fun game from the studio, one that you will lose hours in for sure, but one that fails to reach the star it lit up in 2018 in many ways. Elder Scrolls may be old and dated now, but relative to the time, it still takes the helm of their most pioneering game. Maybe with patches to come, they can improve the pitch on this Starfield.
We got a rook on deck.
That was good. That was good. Hey, they gave some honest
and that's it
feedback.
For a deep dive into space.
I want to see a little bit of the gameplay. So what we'll do is we'll skip through this. They have what, 39 minutes. We won't watch the very beginning. I just want to get into see some of the gameplay, see what they have. If you guys are just joining the stream, make sure you guys drop a like. I think it's like first 39 minutes, but I kind of want to like skip past some of like the story part and just get to this part right here. Yeah, here we go. Here we go.
Why don't you move over to that big vein we looked at?
Yeah, I kind of want to see some of the gameplay. So it looks like he's mining right here. It beat BG3. Holy. It's already #1 on Steam top seller list. Fitting. Yeah, well, obviously it was going to be the biggest. It's got like the most hype behind it.
Well, look at you. Showing some initiative. Come on, let's check in on Hela.
It actually looks good though. I'm assuming they're playing on these guys are playing on PC. Not bad, not bad. Alright, come on, let's go. We got more gameplay?
I thought they were kind of a...
Put your helmet on.
feel like the world is detailed though. Wonder how it plays in third person. Yeah, I think you're in third person now.
Really? In a discovery class? That ship's older than this movie.
Yo, that spaceship looks massive. Is that like our first ship, right? Nah, it's single player. I wish this game, I don't understand. I think this game would have done really well, like co-op. Would have been kind of cool.
Barrett?
Man,
Been a long time.
yes it has. That mine on Bendy, right?
Kazal, hellhole, like this place. Rare mineral contract.
I'm
The
trying
days
to...
are bit-
Oh, here you go. Let's watch this. I think we get to see a little combat here. Hey, they're playing in third person. It looks cool. I think I'll probably play this game a lot in third person. Oh, he went to first person. Or maybe I'll probably switch back and forth. Oh. It has a hard enough time being a single player game. The developers don't want any Fallout 76. Oh, he picked up that axe off that guy. Now he can melee people. Yeah, use that. Oh, we got him. Yo, they should have added like an execution there. Like execute them when they're like on the floor like that. Is it 8 p.m. Ace? 8 p.m. is the early access. So we'll be streaming it tonight. We'll be live with this tonight, guys.
Of course.
Now that was some fine work under pressure.
Yeah, 8 p.m. So about seven hours from now.
The visions. You're coming with me.
Right now is all the reviews, early access. People who got like not early access, but they got the game earlier to review.
I wasn't gonna bring it up.
What else you got first? I'm trying to like skip over the story so we can see a little bit of the gameplay. Okay, I want to see this, like the spaceship.
Even if I have no intention.
See where this takes us. I got the 99 because I think that's the only one that you could get the pre-order. Like to get the early access, you had to spend 100, right? I think that's how Steam did it. If you wanted the early access, you had to pay 99. If you didn't, then you pay 50, right? Half Moon. It's 6:49. Oh, well, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Yeah, Eastern time. So 7. It releases the same time for everybody. That's why it's 8 p.m. Eastern time. But then it's early morning for some of you guys. It's a worldwide release for everybody, so everybody can play the game or early access at the same time, which I thought was kind of cool, right? You hardly ever see that. The game comes out in officially 7 hours. 7 hours from now, early access. Yeah, so for me it's Eastern time, 8 p.m. But you have to just like, they have like a full map that shows when it comes out.
You've proven an familiar with ship combat tactics, because that's a Crimson Fleet ship bringing its weapons to bear.
He destroyed that ship so quick.
We will need to disable their shields. Laser-based weaponry.
1 a.m. here? Yeah, half.
If you can keep the enemy
7 more hours from now, guys. Hey, if you guys just joined the stream, make sure you guys drop a like. Appreciate you guys coming through, hanging out. And we'll be playing this 8 p.m. We'll be grinding this.
Crimson Fleet ships are jumping into our location, Captain.
Got like some space.
UC facility.
What's this? Oh, did they board the ship? Oh, they did, huh? I'm trying to get... Alright, yeah, there we go. Let's see what they got.
Be careful, Captain. Alien creatures are often unpredictable.
I'm liking this. So if you notice, those are the loading screens they were just talking about right there. Did you notice that? The loading screens?
We are in Freestar Collective space. It then stands to reason that this was once a secret UC facility.
Combat looks trashy. PC MC scores have dropped from 87 to 90 to 87 from 91. I mean, anything above an 80 is solid, isn't it? For a video game? I'm assuming. After seeing low FPS on console and how little life is, plus solo, I chose the choice not to play. But if watching people it looks good, I might buy it. I mean, that's always a good way too. Catching people when they play it. See if you enjoy it. That's how I picked a lot of my games too. When I'm really unsure, like watching multiple gameplays of it. Well, that dude's running at him with a knife. Yo, his companion was helping him out. You saw that? What do we got here? Alright, let's see what else we got. Oh, you see there's a value on all those items? So I'm assuming that's what you sell so you can like buy other things or trade them, maybe? Oh, is it safe? Well, I like that. How they created the picking. Pretty fun. Versus than like looking around for like a code somewhere on the wall. Like you just like pick it. I feel like you're gonna dive into this game. It's gonna be more of a like exploring, you know. Most of these are review bombs from PlayStation salty players. Hence the reason I don't trust scores on websites. I'm going to be playing at 8 p.m. I haven't decided if we're going to play it on Twitch or we're going to play it here. I'll keep you guys posted on Twitter and Discord. I'll post it. I'll let you guys know. I think I want to play the first part here on YouTube, and then we'll continue on Twitch. Haven't decided yet though. We haven't decided yet. So I'll let you know. I'll keep you posted. I'm thinking we'll start the playthrough on here, depending on like how it goes. Then maybe move over to Twitch. Or maybe we'll do like morning streams on here with this, and then at night we'll stream it. We're definitely gonna play the whole playthrough though, live. Whether it's here or on Twitch, we'll run through the game. See what we get. There's so many things to interact with. There is, right? That's probably why they said that you'll spend hours just exploring everything. Skills, is this your first Bethesda game? You'll be pleased once it picks up in action. I think it's like the first one I've actually dove into. Bro, there's a lot of interacting with a lot of things. What do we got here? What's he got? Wait, what?
Here we go.
There's a guy behind you.
I do not feel pain, but I hear it.
I feel like melee does more damage than the guns. Have you guys noticed that? You two hit with the guns. You spray like 40 bullets.
Captain Jack.
What do you prefer to stream on Skills? I don't really mind. I like both, to be honest. YouTube's good. It's just some people prefer watching on YouTube. Some people prefer watching on Twitch. So for me, it's kind of the same. If Twitch didn't have such an issue where you could stream on both nowadays, I'd probably have both streaming at the same time. But like Twitch is kind of, you know, kind of iffy with that. If you guys just joined the stream, make sure you guys drop a like. Appreciate you guys coming and hanging out. Watch a little bit more gameplay. We watched a couple of the reviews earlier. Wanted to see what the gameplay. This is the gameplay from IGN. at least the base has a decent amount of enemies. One thing I will say is, like the reviewer did say, the enemies, at least early on, don't really like provide any type of challenge too much. But we'll see once you get to play it yourself, you know, see how challenging they are. Yo. So I guess when you scan the areas, that's when you see what you can pick up. And then you can loot all the bodies. That's cool. I kind of like the menu. Seems like there's a lot of mods though for your weapons. You see this wheel that he's using? Is that 12 guns or 12 items he could put on there? On his wheel? IGN Japan gave it a 10. Looks pretty similar to Fallout 76. Lots of exploring stuff to loot pick up. How did you like Fallout 76 DC? AI needs to be fixed. They don't do anything. The weapon quick bar? Yeah, I like it. I like this lockpicking setup.
Security detail went in after it, but good friggin' luck. When I know it's safe, I'm going to make a run for the comm relay. Try to call in the cavalry.
Yeah. Twitch doesn't allow it.
Xenobiologist. Wishing he had gone to dentist school like his parents wanted.
You gotta switch. No, those don't work. Come on, grab a different one. Bro, what's this guy doing? There you go. Pick a different pick. Now he's learning. Bro, you gotta use the other one, the digipicks. Bro, those don't fit. This guy's struggling. There you go. Voila. There you go. Now he's learning. No. Use a 3. Now you do it. Now. Man was struggling with that. Bro, he must have had one too many beers when he's playing this game.
I'm detecting a safe nearby. We could make use of whatever is inside, provided you had some digipicks.
Man was
a disregard for personal
smooth brain. Oh, here we go again. Let's see if he learned.
We can't call for help. I can hear the terror morph roaring somewhere.
There you go. It's right there. What are you doing? No, there you go. This guy. The lockpicking is hard for no reason, data point. Damn, must be kind of smooth gameplay. All right, come on, let's go see what else we got. Let's go.
And it's going to be.
For my head. For my head.
to travel to Constellation's headquarters.
That's not that bad. What do we got?
I have located the enemy.
What do you guys think so far? I think what we're gonna do here is we're gonna take a break. We'll be back tonight for the live gameplay we'll be playing. We'll play this tonight, guys. If you guys want to see the reviews we reacted to, I think there was like 2 or 3 of them we did. Then we watched some gameplay. You know what I'm gonna want to unlock? That jetpack. As soon as I can on the skill tree is what I'm gonna be unlocking. Is what I'm gonna be going for. But yeah, I think what we'll do here, guys, is we'll be back for this game tonight. We'll play it. It becomes live in 7 hours, so we just got 7 hours left. So we'll deep dive into this, see how we enjoy it. You know, there's no better way to experience a game without just playing it yourself and then finding how. We'll be playing on PC. We'll try to run our graphics. We'll try to run ultra settings too, so it looks really good. And we'll be playing that. Gunplay sounds good though. Yeah, it does. I think it's gonna be a good exploring game. As they said too, the game gets way better the further you get along. So like they say, it's a little slow at first. It does pick up. You remember this was the first 39 minutes of the game. So yeah, I think we're good though. I appreciate. Hey, IGN had some pretty detailed reviews on it. If you guys want to go check them out. They did like a performance review, their review, which has some really good points. We also watched like the first 39 minutes. So that's gonna be it, guys. We'll be live tonight in about 7 hours, and see what we think. Dude had no oxygen. Yeah. I'll catch you guys tonight, 7 hours from now. I'll see you guys then. Hey, hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Hey, until the next one. Hey, Nothing But Skills out. Take it easy, everybody. We'll be live tonight. Make sure you guys catch that stream. Later, everybody.